It's time for another edition of Coach's Corner with women's basketball coach Matilda Mossman.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman, University of Tulsa women's basketball. And before we get to the big overtime game to start league play this past weekend with Temple, let's backtrack a little bit. We haven't done this show in a while. We have a couple of really good non-league wins for your team to end the non-league season. What about those?
Yeah, we were able to finally get back at home after, it was like a murderous December, and finally got back home right before the break against Colorado State, and the guys really played well. They executed well. We shot pretty well in that game, and just did a lot of good things and took away some of the things Colorado State likes to do, and so got that win, and then went home for 4 days and came back and went and played UTEP on the road, and UTEP had probably a better record than a lot of teams that we've played, and it's always a little nerve-wracking going and playing there because
Right.
I found out after the game that we hadn't won at UTEP since 2004. So just knowing that and knowing that we won the game and we played well, it was really nice to see our kids after that game, and it makes for a much more fun trip home when you win a road game.
Absolutely. Any common thread in those two games that you recall? One before Christmas, one after Christmas?
Well, probably Kendrian Elliott. She's been the most consistent for us all year. She had 19 and 6 against Colorado State, but then she had a double-double, 18 and 12 against UTEP. And she's just the only thing that stops Kendrian is Kendrian herself, a la maybe getting in foul trouble, which hasn't happened a lot, but that's the only thing that can stop Kendrian right now.
In the Colorado State game, I don't want to say this is an anomaly, but you don't often get a guard get 12 rebounds. Alexis Golden had 12 points and 12 rebounds, and I think it underscores the importance of your guards rebounding and going after those range rebounds and the 50-50 balls. Right?
Well, I think the big thing is Colorado State is a big-time three-point shooting team. They shot 27 threes. They only made 7, so that's a lot of misses. There's 20 long rebounds coming off, and so we kind of try to preach to our guards that if we're playing teams that shoot a lot of threes, you guys are going to be the recipient of a lot of rebounds. And it wasn't just the long rebounds Lex was getting. She was actually going in and attacking and getting rebounds in the paint as well. And
in the UTEP game, as you mentioned, you go on the road, and that's never an easy thing. What do you learn from winning on the road when you're able to come up with a nice victory on the road? Well,
it just so happens it was our first win on the road this year. And unfortunately, we had to play so many road games in a row. And, when you're on the road, it's hard to get repetition just to be able to shoot the ball. And, all that traveling, and you're just not you're not being able to get in the gym. And so we felt like that really hampered us. And so when we came back after Christmas, or even that week before, we had the week off before Colorado State, we took a couple of days in there just to do individual workouts and just work on individual shooting mechanics, that kind of thing. And we got a lot of shots up that week, and so that paid off against Colorado State. And then did the same thing coming back from Christmas break before we played UTEP. We got in the gym. We were in the gym a lot, got a lot of shots up, and that it helps your confidence so much when you see the ball going through the net, and then it just gives you that repetition that you need at game time.
Yeah, and you didn't shoot especially well at UTEP, but you got to the free throw line, and that was certainly important, one of the differences of the game, I'm sure.
Yeah, there were a lot of fouls called in that game. Both teams went to the free throw line 20 plus times. So it was good, though, to be able to knock down free throws once we got there.
Okay, so you finish out non-league very strongly, and then this past weekend on Saturday, you're taking on Temple at home. And again, usually the games between Tulsa and Temple are awfully good, and this was no exception. You go into overtime. What's your recollection of that game?
Well, we had chances. I mean, we had leads throughout the game. I can't remember how many lead changes and all that there were, but there were a lot. And, we played, Kendrian Elliott only played 28 minutes in that game because she got in foul trouble. And she still had a double-double, but we played a lot of the fourth quarter without her and the complete overtime. But I was really pleased with how our kids played. I mean, Mia Davis is one of the premier players in our league, and she's awfully tough to stop. And, Des received a complimentary elbow from her early in the game, in the first quarter, I think, and had to go out. And Desiree was coming back from a foot injury, so she didn't start the game. And she played maybe 2 or 3 minutes and before she got the complimentary elbow, had to go out. Fortunately, we had medical staff on call, and she had a cut right on her eyelid, and they were able to put the glue in there and get that set. And so she came back being able to see out of half of her eye. But she came back in and was really strong for us, but we missed her during that time. And then we missed Ken. There was a time in there we didn't have Ken or Dez, and they're our 2 best rebounders, and Temple's a really good rebounding team. So needless to say, we did not win the rebounding battle, but we won the toughness battle. I really was pleased with how hard our guys competed against a really, really good athletic team that really imposes their will. And they've got a guard, Marissa Mackins, who had 27 points, I think, in the LaSalle game, had 7 threes right before our game, and then hit 5 threes against us. So she was kind of on a roll anyway,
right,
and finished with 27, 28 points in the game.
Yeah, and I love that term, complimentary elbow, no charge, right? No,
right. It was no flagrant, it was an offensive foul.
Yeah. Well, and for the Hurricane, obviously you send it into overtime, and I think it was a late basket by Alexis Galden that sent you in, and you even had a shot at the end of regulation, right?
Right. Lex drove and attacked and got the layup to tie the game, and then she also made the game-saving defensive play at the other end. Mia Davis, all 6'2", big old girl that she is, Lex took a charge off of her on a drive. And so that gave us the ball back with almost 5 seconds left and enough time to get the length of the floor. And Lex, again, was able to get to the rim, and the shot just didn't go down.
And unfortunately, Temple, the better team in overtime. And overtime is always you just don't know. I mean, it can go either way, and a lot of times it's close. This time they kind of zoomed out to a lead, and you guys just simply weren't able to respond.
Well, they went to the free throw line 8 times. They were 7 for 8 from the free throw line. We were 1 of 2. And again, when you talk about a team imposing their will, that's what they did against us. We didn't have Ken in there to help out on their post play. They really just attacked us and got themselves a free throw line, which helped them win the game.
Well, you talk about Alexis, but a couple of your other guards, Rebecca Lasky played well in that game. Maddie Biddle, 2 straight double-figure games for her now. So are they starting to come along too?
Well, starting to be more consistent. Morgan Brady also was 2 for 3 from the three-point line. Rebecca was really good early, hit a bunch of shots in the paint and got herself in double figures. Maddie Biddle went 3 for 5 from 3. We just needed to get her more shooting opportunities.
Well, and for the Hurricane, obviously a difficult loss, but it's the first game of the league season, so you got a long ways to go. You hate to lose at home, certainly in any league game, but now you kind of get ready to recover from that and get it going, because you don't have a whole lot of time to think about it, do you?
No, and that's the great thing about basketball. You don't have a lot of time to dwell on a loss, because you got to turn around and play again right away. And so it's just one game. That doesn't define our team. And again, I thought our team played well enough to win. We just didn't make key shots at key times and didn't get to the free throw line enough in the overtime.
Well, coming up this week for the Golden Hurricane, a road trip and then a home game. So we'll talk about that when we continue on Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman in a moment.
American, be undeniable.
We're back on Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman, and you head on the road to Tulane. That's a Tuesday trip, a Wednesday game, before you get back home for the weekend here at the Rental Center.
Yeah, and Tulane is very comparable to us, record-wise in a lot of different areas. They return Crystal Freeman, who last year was the conference most improved player. They've got a couple of freshmen that are playing really well for them. They returned Sierra Cheatham, who's their best three-point player. So they returned some of their pieces, but they've also got a couple of new pieces that are complementing them really well.
Well, and they're a team that obviously Tulsa, Tulane games, again, kind of like the Temple deal. you never know what's going to happen, and the games have been incredibly competitive between the two teams over the years, haven't they?
They have. I mean, we've somehow managed to play really close games with Tulane, whether it's here or at their place, and we know they're coming back to us later in the season. But going back to the Temple game, when you lose one at home, you have to come right back and you have to try to steal one on the road.
Right.
So that's the mentality, trying to go in there, and they got a win on the road on Sunday at Wichita State. So we've got to do some catching up and trying to steal one on the road.
Yeah, they're 6-8 and 1-0 in the league coming in, and then over the weekend it's the South Florida team coming in, a traditionally strong team, and they're 1-0 also in the league, and I don't believe they play the midweek game. So how good are they?
Right. Well, they had a good win Sunday against Cincinnati. It was at home, and you're right, they have a bye during this week, but very talented team because they shoot it so well. And Tamara Henshaw really has kind of set things down in the middle for them, and they can just spread the floor and get those shooters out there, and it makes them really hard to defend.
Yeah, they're 9-6 overall, and again 1-0, and that will be their record coming into the game on Sunday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon at the Reynolds Center. Coach, busy week. Good luck on the road, and we'll see you when you get back.
Okay, thanks, Bruce.
Don't forget again, 5 o'clock on Sunday, University of Tulsa taking on USF, our next home game. For tickets, 918-631-GO-TU or TulsaHurricane.com/tickets. For the coach, I'm Bruce Howard, and that's Coach's Corner this time out. See you next time.